The rooftop bar in downtown Seattle was supposed to be neutral ground, a place where old college bonds could resurface without the baggage of daily life. We'd chosen it for our 10-year reunion. Me, Sarah, Mia, Jordan, and the rest of the core group from those chaotic undergrad years at the University of Washington. Fairy lights twinkled against the dusk skyline, craft cocktails flowed, and laughter echoed over the hum of the city below. I'd arrived early, as always, the one who organized the playlist and reserved the tables. But as the evening wore on and toasts turned serious, I felt the shift, like the air before a storm. Sarah, our unofficial leader with her effortless charisma and influencer-level social media presence, stood on a chair, glass raised. "Everyone," she announced, her voice carrying that performative warmth she'd mastered. "Before we get too deep into nostalgia, there's something we need to say." The group quieted, phones lowered. Mia nodded beside her, Jordan smirking into his beer. Even quiet Ethan from the corner looked resolute. "We've talked about this," Sarah continued, eyes sweeping the circle before landing on me. "A lot. And we've decided. Riley, you're out. You're not part of the group anymore. It's unanimous. Out." The word hung there, absurd in its finality. Murmurs of agreement rippled, nods, a few awkward claps. Jordan raised his glass in a mock toast. "You've been unreliable for years, Riley. Draining. We're done pretending. Unreliable." My pulse thrummed in my ears. I'd been the reliable one. The shoulder for every breakup, the wallet for every emergency loan, the planner for every trip. But I didn't explode. Not here, not in front of them. Instead, I reached into my messenger bag, the one I'd packed with a nagging intuition this reunion might go south. "If that's how it is," I said, voice steady, placing a thick accordion folder on the high-top table with a resonant thunk, "you'll want to see this first." The fairy lights seemed dimmer suddenly. Sarah's smile faltered. "What is that? Some dramatic exit prop?" I leaned back against the railing, arms crossed. "Open it. Find out." Mia, ever the bold one, snatched it up, flipping through with aggressive flips. Her expression shifted from smug to confused, then pale. "These are Venmo records? Texts?" Jordan peered over her shoulder. "Riley, this is creepy. Stalking much?" I shook my head. "Every transaction, every message, every screenshot. Years of it." Let me backtrack, because friendships don't dissolve overnight. They erode, one unreciprocated favor at a time. We met freshman year in the dorms. A ragtag group bonded over late-night ramen and shared dread of finals. I was the quiet organizer, the one with the steady job post-grad as a graphic designer for a tech startup. No drama, no kids, just me and my cat in a cozy apartment. They were the vibrant ones. Sarah chasing influencer dreams, Mia in and out of toxic relationships, Jordan hopping startups that flamed out. At first it was balanced, group hikes, potlucks, emotional support all around. But gradually it tilted. Sarah's quick loan for camera gear, $2,500 never repaid. Mia's rent when her ex cleaned out her account, $4,800 over 2 years. Jordan's bridge funding for his app ideas, $12,000 total, with promises of equity that vanished. Trips I planned and partially funded because you make more, Riley, and no family to worry about. Therapy sessions where I listened for hours to their crises, only for my own rough patches to get brushed off with, "You'll be fine, you're strong." In my opinion, true friendship is reciprocal. It's not a bank where one person deposits endlessly while others withdraw without thought. They started joking about it. "Riley's our safety net, the reliable one with no life." Then uglier, screenshots from group chats I wasn't in, mocking my boring single status, calling me needy when I asked for basic reciprocity. One from Sarah. "Riley's so clingy, always expecting us to show up." Clingy? I'd canceled plans for their emergencies countless times. The breaking point came 6 months ago. Jordan hit me up for $5,000 to save his latest venture. I said no, the first firm no. Silence followed. Invites dried up. Social media blocks from Mia. Then this reunion invite, which I'd accepted hoping for maturity. In the binder, a timeline. $28,000 plus in loans, over 8 years, Venmo histories, bank transfers, emails begging for money disguised as casual asks. Screenshots of the secret chat where they vented. Sarah calling me, the group 8M with no spine. Mia saying I was emotionally high maintenance for wanting equal effort, Jordan joking I'd die alone funding their lifestyles. Posts where they gossiped about my dating failures, twisting facts to paint me as the problem. On the rooftop, chaos erupted. Mia slammed the folder. You spied on us? Spy, I replied. You added me back accidentally once. I saw enough. Sarah's face twisted. This is violation. You're obsessed. Jordan flipped pages, landing on his loan requests. You offered. Willingly. Willingly turns to expectation, I said. Then obligation. Then resentment when I stop. Ethan, usually silent, whispered. Is this real? The chat. The group fractured. Accusations flew. Mia blaming Sarah for the gossip. Jordan defensive about the money. Sarah tried rallying. Riley's twisting it. Always the victim. Victim? In my view, victims enable. Survivors document and depart. You voted me out, I said, standing. Fine, but your secrets are out. I pulled my phone, showing the email I'd sent to a mutual friend outside the group. Someone who'd warned me years ago. It's shared now. Walking away, the city lights blurring below, I felt rage mingle with profound relief. Friendships should uplift, not diminish. These had become transactional parasites cloaked in nostalgia. The aftermath hit fast. That night, texts. Sarah demanding I delete everything. Mia tearful. We were joking. Jordan angry. You'll regret this. By morning, the shared secrets spread. Mutual friends messaging shock, some cutting ties with them. The group chat imploded, screenshots circulating. Sarah showed up at my apartment days later, makeup smudged. Riley retracted. We're friends. Friends don't vote out friends, I said, closing the door. I focused on healing. Therapy, unpacking the one-sidedness, new hobbies, pottery classes, volunteer graphic design for nonprofits. Real connections formed, people who reciprocated. But their desperation grew. April, a mediation invite. I declined. May, gossip backlash. Sarah's influencer gigs dried up amid drama leaks. June, Jordan's startup failed, no Riley fund to save it. I thrived. Promotion at work, solo travels, genuine friendships. Yet, Sarah's final plea, a letter begging reunion. The Friendship Dissolution, Part 2. The email from Sarah arrived on a rainy Tuesday in March 2026, 6 months after the rooftop reunion that had shattered whatever illusions I still harbored about our college friend group. The subject line read, "Can we talk?" No agenda, just closure. I read it at my kitchen table. Morning light filtering through the plants I had begun collecting. Succulents, ferns, a thriving fiddle-leaf fig that demanded more consistent care than any of my former friends ever had. Riley, the message began. I know things ended badly. We all said things we regret. The screenshots and records have caused real damage, and I think we owe each other a chance to clear the air. Coffee. Neutral ground. No pressure. No pressure. The phrase carried the same performative gentleness she had used when asking for yet another loan, framing it as a small favor between friends. In my estimation, such invitations rarely sought genuine reconciliation. They aimed to restore access, to reopen the channel of support that had been severed. I archived the email without replying. The intervening months had been a period of profound reconfiguration, both external and internal. The binder I had presented on the rooftop, containing 8 years of financial transactions, text messages, and screenshots from the secret group chat, had circulated far beyond my intention. A mutual acquaintance from outside the core group, to whom I had confided portions for perspective, shared excerpts anonymously on a private alumni forum. From there, it spread to broader university networks. Former classmates, many of whom had experienced similar one-sided dynamics with Sarah, Mia, or Jordan, began reaching out with their own stories. The narrative shifted from personal grievance to a cautionary tale about post-college friendship drift. Sarah's carefully curated influencer career suffered immediate consequences. Brands that had once paid for sponsored posts emphasizing authentic connections and chosen family quietly distanced themselves when screenshots surfaced of her referring to me as the group ATM. Engagement plummeted, collaborations dried up. By April, she had pivoted to damage control content, vague posts about learning from conflict and setting boundaries, without ever acknowledging specifics. Mia's situation deteriorated more dramatically. Her pattern of cycling through relationships had always been fueled, in part, by financial support from the group, support that disproportionately came from me. Without that safety net, a particularly volatile breakup in May left her facing eviction. She reached out indirectly through a mutual friend, asking whether I might help just this once, for old time's sake. The request was declined on my behalf. Jordan's entrepreneurial ambitions collapsed entirely. His latest app, which had relied on my previous investments to stay afloat during development, failed to secure funding when potential investors learned, through whispered networks, of his history of unpaid debts. By June, he had taken a corporate sales position, a role he had always mocked as selling out. The group itself fragmented. Ethan, who had remained largely silent during the rooftop confrontation, contacted me privately in July with a brief apology. I went along because it was easier. I was wrong. We met once for coffee. The conversation was awkward but honest. He had distanced himself from the others and was focusing on his own life. No further contact followed, but the gesture mattered. Professionally, my life flourished in ways I had not anticipated. The promotion I received in April came with greater creative autonomy and a substantial raise. I used part of it to renovate my apartment. New flooring, built-in bookshelves, a dedicated studio space for freelance projects. Voss Designs, my side venture creating branding for ethical startups and nonprofits, began generating consistent income. Clients valued the reliability and reciprocity I brought to collaborations, qualities that had been exploited rather than appreciated in my former friendships. Personally, therapy continued to be transformative. My therapist, Dr. Harlan, helped me unpack the patterns. The tendency to overextend in relationships, the internalized belief that my worth was tied to utility. You were not needy, she observed during one session. You were starved of mutuality and mistook crumbs for sustenance. The insight was painful but liberating. New connections formed organically. The pottery class I joined in May introduced me to a circle of creative, supportive individuals. People who showed up when they said they would, who celebrated each other's successes without envy. A hiking group through a local environmental organization provided companionship without obligation. I began dating again, cautiously, meeting someone through a mutual professional contact whose company felt effortless and balanced from the start. The attempts at re-engagement persisted, however. In August, Mia appeared unannounced at my apartment building, waiting in the lobby with red-rimmed eyes. The doorman called up. I declined to come down but agreed to speak briefly on the intercom. "Riley," she said, voice trembling, "I'm in real trouble. If you could just loan me enough for first and last month's rent." I expressed sympathy for her situation, wished her well, and ended the call. Boundaries, once established, must be maintained. September brought a more coordinated effort. A group email from Sarah, signed by her, Mia, and Jordan, proposing a mediated conversation with a professional facilitator. The tone was conciliatory, acknowledging mistakes on all sides and expressing hope for healing. I consulted Dr. Harlan, who noted the absence of genuine accountability. No specific apologies, no acknowledgement of the financial exploitation or emotional dismissal. I declined the invitation politely but firmly. By October, the consequences had compounded. Sarah's online presence had shrunk dramatically. She deleted years of archived posts featuring group trips I had helped fund. Mia moved back to her parents' home in another state. Jordan's corporate job, while stable, came with the realization that his entrepreneurial dreams were indefinitely postponed. In November, I received an unexpected message from Ethan. A simple update that the remaining trio had attempted to organize a reunion-Riley gathering, but attendance was sparse. Mutual friends, informed of the full context, had largely distanced themselves. The once vibrant group had effectively dissolved. December arrived with quiet celebration. I hosted a holiday dinner for my new circle, pottery friends, hiking companions, a few supportive colleagues. The table was filled with laughter, shared cooking, and genuine connection. No one asked for money. No one voted anyone out. As 2026 drew to a close, I found myself reflecting on the rooftop moment that had seemed catastrophic at the time. The dissolution had not been an ending but a necessary excision, a removal of relationships that had long since ceased to nourish and had begun to drain. What remained was space. Space for authenticity, for reciprocity, for growth unencumbered by obligation. In January 2027, a final communication arrived. A handwritten letter from Sarah, postmarked from a different city. She had relocated, she wrote, to start fresh. The letter contained a check for $3,200, partial repayment of the largest loan I had extended years earlier, and a brief note. I'm sorry for how things were. I understand if you don't respond. I deposited the check and filed the letter away. Some apologies arrived too late to rebuild what was broken, but they can confirm that boundaries, once set, have been respected. The friendship that had once defined my social world no longer existed. In its place stood something far more valuable. A life built on mutual respect, genuine connection, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing one's worth is not negotiable. The dissolution was complete. The rebuilding had only just begun.